Fame can look bright from far away, but these cases show how quickly it can turn into a nightmare. The K-pop world runs on passion, loyalty, and constant attention, and that same attention can turn dangerous when people stop respecting limits. Some stories start with strange fan behavior that sounds unreal. Then the details keep getting darker, and then the damage becomes permanent. Each case in this script worsens, and the common thread remains the same. Somebody with power thinks rules don't apply to them, and somebody else pays the price. The first story sounds like a rumor at first, the kind of tale people repeat online and dismiss as exaggerated. Then you remember how extreme obsession can become when admiration turns into entitlement. This takes place in the mid to late 1990s. A famous singer and actress, referred to here as Lee Bon, is at the height of her career. Her schedule is relentless. She moves from television drama sets to music promotions without pause. Her face is everywhere, and her name is constantly in the news. She has built a loyal fan base that supports her work and follows her every appearance. From the outside, it looks like success in its purest form. What people do not see is how visibility also attracts people who cross invisible lines. Lee Bon lives the routine of a public figure. Long filming days, late nights, early call times, and constant supervision from managers and staff become normal. Privacy is already limited, but safety still feels guaranteed. She's always surrounded by professionals. She trusts the system around her. On one particular day, she is filming on location during autumn. There are only about 20 minutes of filming left before she can leave. Her manager, following routine, goes ahead to start the car so it will be warm when she finishes. Lee Bon completes her final shots and heads towards the exit. To reach the car, she has to walk down a long staircase that separates the set from the parking area. It is a familiar path. She has walked it countless times before. Nothing feels out of place. Then, without warning, everything goes dark.
납치를 당한 적이 있어요.
왜? 어떻게? 매니저 없었어?
아니요, 그때 촬영이 끝나고
When she wakes up, it is not a few minutes later. It is the next day. The first thing she notices is that the room feels unfamiliar. The walls, the lighting, the silence. None of it matches her home or her car. Panic creeps in slowly as she tries to remember what happened. There is a gap in her memory that she cannot fill. She knows she didn't drink. She knows she didn't agree to go anywhere. The missing time makes the situation feel heavy and dangerous in a way she cannot ignore. She lies still for a moment, listening. There's no immediate movement, but then she hears voices in another part of the space. The tone is not calm. It sounds irritated, almost like an argument. Someone seems upset that things have gone wrong. That realization makes her heart race. Staying silent feels unbearable. Not knowing what is happening is feeling worse than facing it directly. She forces herself to stand and moves toward the voices, even though every step feels uncertain. When she confronts the people involved, the explanation she hears is surreal. They tell her she was taken because a family member is a huge fan. They wanted to meet her. They say it as if it explains everything, as if admiration justifies what they did. There is no awareness of how terrifying the situation is for her. This is where the concept of saseng becomes important. These are fans who believe admiration gives them ownership. They do not view celebrities as individuals with personal boundaries. They stalk, trespass, follow schedules, and invade private spaces because they believe access is something they deserve. To them, attention is not a gift. It is an expectation. In this moment, Lee Bon makes a decision that surprises many people who later hear the story. She does not call the police. She does not scream or threaten. Instead, she tries to control the situation by staying calm. She treats the moment as if it can be managed through tone rather than force. She even asks them to show her around the neighborhood, as if turning the situation into something casual might lower the risk. It's not trust, it's survival. After several tense hours, she is allowed to leave without being physically harmed, but the emotional damage stays with her long after she gets home. The shock deepens the next day when a bright yellow luxury sports car appears outside her house as a gift, followed by a proposal from the same people who kidnapped her, framing their actions as devotion rather than fear. She rejects them immediately and makes it clear that there will be no contact. Yet the message is unavoidable. Some fans don't understand rejection, and some don't recognize fear at all. This story reveals a disturbing truth. Obsession does not always appear dangerous at first, as it can disguise itself behind admiration. However, once someone believes they are entitled to another person's life, the line between love and threat disappears completely. Idols are a lot better than parents like you. A 13-year-old girl was hacked to death by her father. This story proves that exploitation does not always look violent at first. It takes place in Beijing, and the focus is on a 13-year-old girl named Xiaoping. She is smart, disciplined, and accepted into a prestigious middle school. Her father, Li Jinquan, is proud because he never had that kind of education, and the family struggles financially. His wife is disabled and often hospitalized, so a stable future for Xiaoping feels like hope for everyone. Xiaoping lives in a school dorm and comes home on Saturdays, and that routine seems normal. Then her behavior changes. She spends more and more time on the computer at home, late into the night, and her father starts to worry. When the next semester begins, she refuses dorm life and insists on living at home full-time, using a taxi to school every day. The cost is high, but her father agrees because he believes it will help her focus. Instead, her grades slip, and the computer takes over her days. One night, her father looks at what she is doing online and learns the truth. She is deeply obsessed with the K-pop group EXO. She spends hours supporting them online, engaging with posts, streaming music repeatedly, and completing tasks meant to boost rankings. Inside her fan circle, she gains status and becomes a leader, and that sense of importance pulls her deeper. Then money becomes the trigger. EXO holds a concert in Beijing, and Xiaoping asks her father for a ticket. The price is around 1,200 yuan, which is roughly his monthly salary. He agrees because he wants to make her happy. She then asks for another 1,200 yuan to buy a ticket for another fan, because she feels responsible as the leader. Her father refuses because the request crosses a line. Xiaoping goes to her grandparents and gets the money behind his back, and trust cracks inside the family. The breaking point arrives on the morning of an important entrance exam that could shape her future. Her father calls a taxi, waits, and realizes she is not getting ready. The taxi leaves, the money is gone, and her father feels embarrassed and angry. He goes upstairs and finds Xiaoping at her computer again, with books scattered and no urgency for the exam. He yells, she yells back, and the fight turns personal. He lashes out with a line about idols not caring about her, and she answers in a way that hits hard. The situation escalates beyond control, and her father attacks her with a knife during the argument. Within minutes, his life is destroyed, and her life is gone. He calls the authorities and turns himself in. Later, he is sentenced to prison and expresses regret that he cannot undo what happened. That case shows a brutal truth. Obsession can become a spark, but the real danger is what happens when a home fills with pressure, silence, and no healthy way to step back. Some of the most disturbing cases begin when no one is looking. The third story shifts from family tragedy to a system that protects wrongdoing. In 2016, in South Korea, a young woman walks into a police station to report a crime. She says her ex-boyfriend filmed her without consent. Police question the ex-boyfriend and want access to his phone. He refuses and sends the phone to a private forensics company instead. An IT specialist, called Lee in this story, receives the device and recovers an enormous amount of data. He finds messages, photos, and videos that reveal far more than the original complaint. A lawyer calls and claims the ex-girlfriend dropped her charges, saying she acted in anger and there is no case. The IT specialist now faces a moral trap. He has seen evidence of organized wrongdoing involving multiple men sharing illegal material and treating women like objects for entertainment. He realizes this is not a private scandal between two people. He recognizes names in the group chats, and the names belong to famous entertainers. A major celebrity, Jung Jun-young, is connected to the phone. Other celebrities are also involved. The messages suggest protection from people in power, including talk of police connections. The IT specialist returns the phone and tells authorities he could not recover anything, but he quietly keeps copies of the data. That choice becomes important later because it sets the stage for exposure. Now the story reaches the moment that shook Korean entertainment. In 2018, a famous idol known as Seungri became known for expensive parties and a flashy image. In February 2018, he and partners opened a high-end nightclub called Burning Sun. The club becomes a status symbol. Rich guests buy VIP tables and expensive packages, and the business makes a lot of money quickly. Behind the glamour, rumors spread about drugging, exploitation, and staff protecting powerful customers. Many people dismiss the rumors as normal nightlife drama because the club is famous and the people inside are influential. A woman named Amy goes to the club with someone she trusts, and she is offered a strange pill and pressured to take it. She later learns it is connected to substances that can leave someone confused and unable to protect themselves. Her story is not the only one. Another turning point happens in November 2018 when a man named Kim visits Burning Sun with his friends. He sees a woman being dragged by a man while she looks barely conscious. She tries to signal the staff for help, and the staff ignores her. Kim steps in and blocks the man. Instead of helping, the club workers attack Kim, drag him outside, and beat him so badly that he suffers serious injuries. Kim calls the police, expecting protection. Police arrive, go inside, speak with the staff, and then shock everyone by arresting Kim instead. The situation becomes even worse when the police also mistreat him during the arrest. Kim decides he cannot stay quiet, so he goes public online and describes what he saw and what happened to him. This story spreads fast, but the club fights back with its own statements. The public becomes split, confused, and angry because it turns into a battle of claims without clear proof. Then more people speak up. Women share similar horror stories. A private video from inside the club circulates online and increases pressure. It becomes harder to dismiss the claims as gossip. The club looks less like a normal venue and more like a machine built to serve powerful clients. In February 2019, the IT specialist from earlier in the story finally takes the evidence he saved to a lawyer. Soon after, a major broadcaster reports on messages that suggest a structured operation where VIP customers received illegal offers and the staff helped make it happen. The scandal explodes. Burning Sun shuts down. Arrests follow. Many sentences later feel light compared to the damage described, and some involved figures return to public life, which leaves the public furious and exhausted. This next case shows how power can be abused without raising suspicion. It shows that exploitation doesn't always hide in dark alleys or behind loud music. Sometimes it looks clean, organized, and familiar.
와 다르게 달력과 DVD 많이 기대해 주시고요. 2014년 보이프렌드와 함께 행복하세요.
Sonara Records became well known in South Korea for selling albums at unusually low prices, often undercutting other stores. Fans were encouraged to shop there because buying albums was seen as a way to support idols and help them succeed on charts. To the public, Sonara looked like a business helping the music industry thrive. Few people question how those prices were possible or what was happening behind the scenes.
일들이 처음으로 세상에 폭로되는 그런 사건이었죠.
Behind that public image, serious allegations began to surface. Sonara Records was linked to a cult-like organization known as Baby Garden, led by a woman named Kim Ki-soon. She built her power slowly by targeting vulnerable people and demanding total obedience. Followers were pressured to hand over money, property, and even family assets. Normal family roles were discouraged or erased. Parents were told not to act like parents. Children were not treated like children. Life inside the group followed strict rules where loyalty to the leader mattered more than basic human needs. The cult functioned as a closed system. Followers reportedly worked extreme hours with no pay, believing they were serving a higher purpose. Adults labored in farms and factories, while children spent long days selling goods in public spaces. Disobedience was not treated as a mistake, but as a moral failure. Punishment was used to maintain control, and fear kept people silent. Over time, this environment became normal to those trapped inside it, even as it crossed every line of abuse and exploitation. One child, 5-year-old Nagwan, became a symbol of the cruelty described in court records and testimonies. Inside Baby Garden, he was not allowed to show affection to his own mother. Simple acts like hugging were treated as violations. After an incident where he acted out like any child under stress might do, leaders labeled him as possessed. He was tied up, abused, and isolated. He later died. The tragedy did not immediately lead to justice. Years passed before his father came forward and reported what happened, hoping the truth would finally be exposed. When prosecutors began investigating, they faced overwhelming obstacles. Many witnesses retracted their statements. Fear, loyalty, and long-term psychological control played a role. Even Nagwan's mother changed her story in court, denying the abuse. Without consistent testimony, the murder charge collapsed. Authorities were still able to convict Kim Ki-soon on financial crimes and assault, but the punishment felt small compared to the severity of the allegations and the loss of a child's life. What made the case even more disturbing was the organization did not disappear. Sonara Records continued to exist, and its influence in the music industry remained. The story left behind a bitter lesson. Systems built on money, obedience, and belief are extremely difficult to break. When exploitation hides behind business success and loyal followers, justice becomes slow, fragile, and incomplete. The final story centers on a young actress named Jang Ja-yeon, whose death in 2009 exposed some of the darkest allegations connected to power and control in the entertainment industry.
안녕하세요. 스포츠 조선 독자 여러분, 안녕하세요. 저는
Jung was still early in her career, working under an agency that held enormous influence over her future. Like many newcomers, she depended on that agency for roles, income, and survival in a competitive industry. After her death, documents attributed to her surfaced, describing pressure, coercion, and repeated abuse tied to powerful men. The writings painted a picture of an industry where contracts could become cages, leaving a person with no safe way out. The documents suggested that refusal came with consequences. Losing financial support, being blacklisted, or having a career ended entirely were constant threats. According to the material, Jung was forced into situations she did not consent to, under pressure from her agency and people who controlled access to opportunity. When the documents became public, they caused outrage and grief. Investigations followed, and the officials questioned individuals named or implied in the writings. Despite the attention, convictions were limited. Many of the people accused denied wrongdoing, and the lack of physical evidence made accountability difficult. For many observers, the outcome felt incomplete and deeply unsatisfying. Years later, the case resurfaced when another actress from the same agency came forward. She claimed she had witnessed parts of what Jung endured and said she had attended some of the same meetings. She asked the public for support, saying she faced threats and pressure for speaking out. Sympathy poured in. People donated money, shared her story, and hoped that this new testimony would finally bring clarity and justice. For a time, it felt like the truth might finally break through the silence.
Involving an actress and her suicide note. Lee Min-sun has the full story.
In March 2009, 29-year-old actress Jang Ja-yeon killed herself. She left a 7-page letter which detailed the sexual crimes committed against her.
Then the story began to unravel. Her accounts changed over time. People close to Jung questioned how well the two actresses actually knew each other. Lawsuits appeared, accusing the new witness of lying and misusing public donations. Trust eroded quickly, and public support turned into confusion and anger. The focus shifted away from justice and toward credibility, turning the case into a public spectacle rather than a search for truth. Later forensic reviews added another layer of complexity. Experts suggested that parts of the original documents might not fully match Jung's handwriting. Attention turned toward her former manager, who was accused of manipulating or forging materials for personal benefit. Allegations emerged that he may have released or altered documents despite promising the family privacy. This revelation shook public understanding of the case even further, raising painful questions about exploitation continuing even after death. In the end, the story remains unresolved for many people. Some believe Jung's suffering was real, but buried by influence and fear. Others feel the truth was distorted by opportunism and conflicting agendas. What remains clear is that power, silence, and dependence created a system where the truth struggled to survive. Jung Ja-yoon's story is not remembered for closure or justice, but for how easily truth can be lost when influence outweighs accountability. Across all these cases, one pattern stays consistent. Obsession can create access, and access can create danger. Money can buy silence, and fame can attract protection from people who should be protecting victims. The reason these stories hit so hard is simple. The victims come from different places, different ages, different lives, but the harm follows the same road. If attention builds an empire, then accountability must be the price of entry, or the next headline will be even worse.